time for us to talk sports on Global Television. We've got all the big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sports, and the King of Sports is in full flight with all the big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sports. My name is Anthony Momodu, and I've got the big stories concerning the Super Eagles, club football, and matches that were played last night in the English Premier check. It's time for us to talk sports on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu, the King of Sport, with all the big stories making the rounds in the exciting world of sport. Got some stories concerning the Super Eagles players across Europe, and also big matches that were played last night in the English Premier League. And of course, we've got tennis stories and the world of boxing. On today's edition, it promises to be very exciting as we give you all the big stories making the rounds. Let's begin from the home front and talking about Nigerian players across Europe. Let's let you know that Nigerian players across Europe gave new Super Eagles coach Eric Echale a warm welcome on Tuesday night with impressive performances and crucial goals for their respective teams. Yes, let's talk about this man, Alex Iwobi. Sadiq Umar led the charge, scoring for Fulham and Valencia respectively. Iwobi's brace in London derby against West Ham United was a highlight, although Fulham ultimately lost the match 3-2. Iwobi's goals were a testament to Chelsea's philosophy of attacking football, which he emphasized at his unveiling ceremony on Monday at the MKO Abiola Stadium right here in the Federal Capital Territory. Let's say that Chelle, a francophone Malian coach, has been appointed as the new head coach of the Super Eagles. No longer big news, tasked with reviving the team's fortunes in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. His hiring was seen as a very, very strategic move for the Nigerian Football Federation to inject fresh ideas and expertise into the Super Eagles, 3 times African champions. Remember, in 1980, in 1994, and in 2013, when the Super Eagles were truly super and did win the African Cup of Nations. But back to the matter, let's let you know that Iwobi's twin goals brought his tally in the English Premier League this season to 7 goals in 21 games. That's amazing for a midfield player. I also let you know that another Nigerian player who was in the game that night is not a person but Calvin Bassey, who played for Ajax a few seasons ago. Calvin Bassey also featured in the game for Fulham, playing in his 20th league match this season. In another impressive display, it was Sadiq Umar who scored for Valencia, who recorded a 2-0 victory over Orense CF in the Copa del Rey clash. Omar's goal, his first for Valencia, sealed the win for Los Chers, and other Nigerian players also delivered commendable performances on Tuesday as they make welcome to Eric Echale. Let's let you know that one of the best defenders in the English Premier League, his name Ola Aina, who played 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest in their 1-1 draw with those who say they never walk alone, talking about Liverpool. While Taiwo Awoniyi came on in the 90th minute against his former club Liverpool. In Serie A, it was the big one. The African Footballer of the Year 2024 is still in big big action. Yes, his name, Ademola Lookman, yes, was in action for Atlanta as they played out a 1-1 draw with the Old Lady of Turin. Yes, you know them as Juventus. Yes, Lookman, who has netted 9 goals and backed 5 assists for Atlanta this season, was substituted in the 81st minute, and that did not take away the shine from the African Footballer of the Year. All right, just to let you know that result in the English Premier League, despite Alex Iwobi scoring, Fulham dropped to the 9th place in the Premier League, while Valencia advanced in the Copa del Rey. The performances of Nigerian players will be a welcome boost for Chelsea as he begins his tenure as the coach of the Super Eagles. But don't forget, the Super Eagles, they've got big matches coming up in March when the World Cup qualifiers begin, and it's 6 games in a trot. We have no choice but to win those 6 games. That's where the real matter will begin for the Super Eagles as they look to qualify for the World Cup coming up in the USA and Canada, talking about World Cup 2026. All right, let's move on. Still talking about the Super Eagles, but this time the B team of your darling Super Eagles. We're talking about the CHAN 2024. Yes, the draws have been made, and it's a big one. The Taranga Lions is where the Super Eagles B team has fallen into. All right, just to let you know that the Super Eagles B team have been drawn into the highly competitive Group D. You call it the Group of Death of the 2024 African Cup of Nations Championship, alongside defending champions, the Taranga Lions of Senegal, the Red Devils of Congo, and Sudan. The draw, which took place on Wednesday at the Kenyatta International Convention Center in Nairobi, Kenya, has set up a thrilling encounter between the Super Eagles B team and some of the top teams on the African continent, not forgetting the Taranga Lions of Senegal, who are the defending champions. Yes, they are the reigning champions and will be looking to defend their title, while the Congolese national team, the Red Devils, and the Sudanese team will also be seeking to make a strong impression in the tournament. But the Super Eagles B team, led by the duo of Daniel Ogumo Dede and Fidelis Ilechiku, 2 of Nigeria's finest local coaches, will be determined to make the positive impact in the tournament and bring glory to Nigeria. Don't forget, the new coach Erike Chelle will be supervising the coaching crew, and that is going to be his first true test. How well does he understand Nigerian football, and how well can he use the resources, the talented players in Nigeria to dominate the African continent? That's going to be his first big test when the CHAN tournament takes place in Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. It's called the East CHAN Tournament, and it's going to be a very big test for Eric Chelle as he takes the Super Eagles B team to that tournament. All right, just to let you know that the newly unveiled head coach of the Super Eagles, Eric Chelle, will be carrying out a supervisory role with the team. This year's CHAN is historic, as it will be the first time the tournament will be co-hosted in the East African part of the continent, and not just one, but we're talking about 3 continents, 3 countries, I beg your pardon. We're talking about Kenya, the Harambee Stars of Kenya, we've got the Tafia Stars of Tanzania, and the Cranes of Uganda. Those are the 3 teams, the 3 countries that will be hosting the CHAN tournament. And so it's going to be a very historic and a very mouth-watering tournament. Already, the Super Eagles are in the same group with the Taranga Lions of Senegal, who are the defending champions of the CHAN tournament. All right, the competition initially scheduled for earlier was rescheduled to August 2025 to ensure that world-class infrastructure and facilities were ready. Just to let you also know that the new CHAN trophy unveiled earlier on Wednesday is a stunning, yes, take that to the bank. It's a stunning work of art featuring 54 intricate lines symbolizing Africa's unity, talking about 54 countries of Africa. This bold statement reflects the tournament's growing prestige, and also CAF has also announced a significant increase in the prize money, with the champions set to pocket $3.5 million, over 5 billion naira. Take that to the bank, Adam. I told you so. 5 billion naira, whoever wins the CHAN tournament, up from $2 million in the previous edition. So it tells you the motivation is there for the Super Eagles team and other teams to want to win that tournament. Just to let you know that the total prize pool has also been increased by 32% to $10.4 million. The CHAN, first held in 2009, has produced 5 different champions. We've got champions with the DR Congo, you call them the Red Devils of Congo. We've got the Atlas Lions of Morocco leading with 2 titles already each in that tournament. Then we've got the Teranga Lions of Senegal winning that tournament. They are the reigning champions who won their first CHAN tournament in 2022. Right now it's going to be Kenya, the Harambee Stars of Kenya, the Cranes of Uganda, and the Tafia Stars of Tanzania automatically qualified for the tournament as co-hosts. All right, we've got a heading Group B's. Let's show you some of the groupings. We've got the Group A, the Group B, the Group C, and the Group D. It's on your screen already as the defending champions led Group D. The groups for the 2024 CHAN are as follows. Group A, we've got the Harambee Stars of Kenya. Then we've got the Atlas Lions of Morocco there. We've got the Palangas Negras of Angola in that group. We've got the Red Devils of Congo in that group. Then we've got the Chipopolo of Zambia in Group A. In Group B, we've got the Cranes of Uganda. We've got the Lions of Madagascar. And we've got the Warriors of Mauritania. And we've got the Stallions of Burkina Faso and also the Central African Republic team in that Group B. In Group C, we've got the Tafia Stars of Tanzania. And we've got the Hyenas of Niger Republic, and we've got the Silly Stars of Guinea in Group C. So those are the group. In Group D, we've got Red Devils of Congo, Sudan national team. Then we've got the Super Eagles of Nigeria in that group. So the CHAN is exclusively for players competing in their home leagues, making it a very vital platform for showcasing African-based talent. So let's see what the Super Eagles players will be doing at this tournament. We hope they will deliver the goods. It's going to be the first test for Eric Chelle and his team. All right, enough of big stories on the home front. We'll go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be going to the international scene where we look at matches that were played in Europe, especially the English Premier League, where it was a big northern derby between the Gunners, yes, you call them Arsenal, versus we've got the Tottenham Hotspurs were in action last night. It was a titanic battle between these North London clubs, a rivalry that never ceases to amaze everyone. After the break, stay with us. Welcome back. The King of Sports are still with all the big stories making the rounds. We're now in the foreign scene. We've got the big stories in the English Premier League. Last night was the Northern Derby between the Gunners and Tottenham Hotspurs, and it was indeed a very exciting one as new stars were born last night. Meanwhile, the big story talks about Mikel Arteta and Declan Rice hailing one of Arsenal's new wonder kid on the block. Yes, Declan Rice heaped praise on Miles Lewis Skelly after the teenager starred in Arsenal's North London derby win over Tottenham on Wednesday night. Lewis Skelly, who is 18, has broken into Arsenal's first team in recent weeks and excelled at the left back despite playing most of his academy career as a midfielder. He produced another fine performance at the Emirates on Wednesday as Arsenal came from behind to secure a 2-1 win and close to within 4 points of league leaders Liverpool. Speaking after the match, Rice hailed Lewis Skelly's fearless approach and compared him to ex-Tottenham and Fulham midfielder Musa Dembele. Yes, Lewis Skelly has been keeping more seasoned professionals such as Alexander Zinchenko and Ricardo Calafiori out of the team since being handed his opportunity by Mikel Arteta. Arteta was equally impressed with Lewis Skelly after he held his own against Tottenham's dangerous attackers, and that means a new star has been born. Lewis Skelly is the new star from the left back of the Gunners team, and he has succeeded in benching players like Alexander Zinchenko of Ukraine and Italian Mafian in the person of Riccardo Calafiori, who is also a very good left back, but this young star who is 18 is the star of the future, and he did contribute his quota last night as Arsenal came from go down to beat Tottenham Hotspur 2-1 and close the gap 4 points ahead of behind Liverpool, who are league leaders. All right, I'm still giving you reactions and fallout from that match that went down last night. We're talking Ange Postecoglou is in the news this morning as Ange Postecoglou blamed himself for Tottenham's derby defeat against Arsenal, but insisted they will keep plugging away with their gong-hong style. Tottenham had led after Son Heung-min's 25th minute goal, but went in 2-1 down at halftime after an own goal from Dominic Solanke and Lisandro Trossard bottom corner strike. Spurs came out all guns blazing after Brennan Johnson and James Maddison came on for the second half, but Postecoglou's attack first men managed just 2 shots on target all evening. Their second derby shortfall of the season leaves them languishing 13th in the Premier League table with 11 defeats, a personal record for this stage of the campaign and more than Ipswich Town. Very sad commentary there, but Tottenham will travel to Everton on Sunday and could end their weekend as low as 15, which would be equivalent to their worst ever Premier League finish under Ozzy Adilis in 1993 and 1994 season. In one aspect, it was a positive night for Song, who scored his 9th goal against Arsenal and become the first highest scorer in London derbies. That's right, any derby in the capital, he has scored more goals against Arsenal, and in short, when he has to do with northern derbies. But Spurs have now lost 4 of their last 5 Premier League games, drawing the other with Wolves and sit 14 points off 4th place Newcastle. Already, some persons are calling for the sack of Ange Postecoglou, and one man is the former Arsenal star. His name, Emmanuel Petit, is in the news this morning. Let's let you know that former Arsenal midfielder Emmanuel Petit has called on his old rivals to sack under fire boss Ange Postecoglou. Spurs suffered their 11th defeat of this campaign against the Gunners on Wednesday night as Dominic Solanke own goal and Leandro Trossard, a striker, left them languishing in the 13th place. Tottenham torrid luck with injuries this season provides some very interesting mitigation for their dismal run of results, while the Carabao Cup campaign has kept a full-scale unrest from supporters at bay. But Petit, who spent 3 seasons in North London with Arsenal, believes Spurs should pull the trigger now. All right, but meanwhile, post-match, Postecoglou admitted his side weren't good enough in the first half and took responsibility for their second defeat against Iconic rivals this term. That's bold enough for Ange Postecoglou. Would he be sacked? Is a big question. But from Tottenham, let's go to the Arsenal coach who seems to be more happy. Mikel Arteta is in the news this morning and looking good, like someone behind the scene here. Mikel Arteta has revealed that Arsenal are actively looking for a striker to fill the void left by injured forward Bukayo Saka. and Gabriel Jesus, as he decided, looked to stay on course for the title race. And indeed, it's a tough one. The Gunners recovered from a goal down against Tottenham on Wednesday night to beat their North London rivals 2-1, thanks to Lisandro Trossard winner. It was just the tonic Arteta needed after a tough week, which had seen his side for first leg defeat to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, crash out the FA Cup also to Manchester United, and also losing one of their star striker in the person of Gabriel Jesus to long-term injury, just as the Brazil striker was finding his scoring boots. As usual, Jesus' injury has further reduced Arsenal's attacking options after the loss of Saka to hamstring injury last month. But speaking after the victory over Spurs, which caught Liverpool's lead over them at the top of the Premier League table to just 4 points, Arteta offered hope to Arsenal fans by revealing that he is seeking reinforcement for the title push. Meanwhile, the Spaniard will have to fit any transfer deals around the hectic schedule of 6 games in 20 days. Arsenal next hosts Aston Villa in the league on Saturday before the Champions League clash at the Emirates the following Wednesday. So it's going to be a very tight one for the Gunners. They need to be guns blazing as they face Aston Villa, one of the informed teams in the English Premier League. So we'll be watching at the Gunners keenly. Will they keep up this victory against Tottenham, or will they falter? Is the big question. Only time will tell. This week, they've got 20 days, and 6 games in 20 days is a huge task for the Gunners. They've lost Saka, they've lost Gabriel Jesus, and Arteta says they will be looking to get a striker in this January transfer window. Let's go for a quick break. When we return from the break, we've got Declan Rice still talking, saying Arsenal should have scored 10 goals against Tottenham. That's what the Gunners do every time they got a free meal. They eat it up, but against Tottenham, they couldn't score 10. But Declan Rice believes the Gunners would have scored 10 goals. After this break, we'll talk more. We've got some Gunners fans behind the scene here trying to distract the king of sport, but we're giving you all the big stories making the rounds. They are hoping the Gunners will be able to get a striker as beautiful as them into their kitty, getting set for 6 games in 20 days. All right, let's talk about Declan Rice. Yes, Declan Rice believes that Arsenal should have handed Tottenham a historic hitting, given the number of chances they created against their North London rivals. Mikel Arteta's side recorded a vital 2-1 win that took them just within 4 points of the Premier League leaders, talking about Liverpool. But on a nervy night at the Emirates, the result could have been secured long before the final whistle, as the Gunners passed up 4 big chances and recorded 14 shots against Ange Postecoglou's side, but only forced Derby debutant Antoine Kingsley into a single save. Rice reviewed the feeling among the Arsenal players after the match, which could prove to be a catalyst for their title charge in the second half of the campaign. Several of the Arsenal missed chances were down to superb last-ditch defending from a depleted Spurs backline, but questions remain over their ruthlessness up front as they attempt to hunt down Liverpool. Meanwhile, remember one ex-player of Liverpool, Raheem Sterling, was given a rare start by Arteta on the right flank in place of Gabriel Martinelli, but on loan Chelsea man did little to bolster his case for future inclusion. Arsenal came into the game rocked by the news that Gabriel Jesus will miss the rest of the season after sustaining an ACL injury in their FA Cup third round defeat by Manchester United. The Brazilian became the latest attacker to go down with a long-term issue after injuries to Bukayo Saka and youngster Ethan Nwaneri. Arsenal players paid tribute to Jesus with shirts bearing his name before kickoff at the Emirates. That guy never stops getting injured, and I think it's time for them to ship him out. All right, let's talk to the next big story here. It's Gary Neville who is talking, and we're taking to Old Trafford where the big story is coming. All right, just to let you know that Gary Neville believes that Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho could both be sold by Manchester United this January as part of Ruben Amorim's bid to take control of the club. The Portuguese boss made the huge call to drop both players from his match day squad for the last month, Manchester United Manchester City derby. Rashford has not played since, while Garnacho has been limited to just 80 minutes of action in the FA Cup, and the future of both players looks uncertain, with Rashford claiming in a bombshell interview, which did him no good, that he was ready to leave his boyhood club for a new challenge. Meanwhile, Garnacho is reportedly attracting interest from the likes of Napoli, and Gary Neville, who won 8 Premier League titles under Sir Alex Ferguson, believes Amorim is following the Scottish great playbook. It's been the news in the last 24 hours that bids are coming in for Garnacho. Neville said that over the Lap US podcast that there has been news stories about Rashford going on loan or to another club. Amorim's side have recovered from 4 straight defeats by following up a credible Premier League 2-2 draw with Liverpool, by battling past Arsenal in Sunday's FA Cup third round clash, with 3 home matches on the trot against Southampton, Brighton and Rangers in the Europa League. January offers Amorim the opportunity to gain some momentum at Manchester United, and if they do win those 3 games, it's going to be smooth sailing for the Red Devils. But with the transfer window open, Neville believes the biggest decision the 39-year-old could make this month off the pitch. That's probably selling those 2 players and getting some reinforcement to get the job done. All right, let's tell you why Pep Guardiola split with his wife. That's the big story we're going to share with you in a couple of minutes now as we look at Pep Guardiola. Football over family, broke relationship with wife. That's the big headline there, as Pep Guardiola on their 30-year relationship after the Manchester manager put football before their relationship by signing a 2-year contract extension that would have kept him in UK until 2027. This makes me believe that Pep Guardiola is from the southeast, Anambra State most likely. He's putting money before his wife. And the fashion entrepreneur, Christina Serra, who returned to Barcelona from Manchester in 2019 to focus on her business interests, but still regularly visited the 53-year-old dad of 3 in his adopted city, decided enough was enough after learning he had U-turned on the agreement on a decision to quit Britain and was going to stay in his current job until 2027. It tells you Pep Guardiola loves this game. This round leader game is addictive, just like the media is. Also, just to let you know that the explosive allegations were made on Wednesday afternoon by Lorena Vasquez, a fellow Spanish journalist, Laura Farr, who make up a duo of well-respected showbiz reporters called the Mamarizis, and broke the story of the couple's shock marriage breakup earlier this week. Just to let you know that Pep's previous City deal was due to expire at the end of the season, but he agreed terms on a 2-year extension in November. He said at that time he could not leave the club after suffering 4 defeats for the first time in his coaching career. There's always a reason to stay put. All right, but now you know why his wife is leaving him after 30 years. The fact that they had an agreement he was going to retire and leave Britain at the end of this season. But what did he do? He did a U-turn and extended his contract till 2027. And that broke the camel's back, and his wife for 30 years is saying, say go be. All right, let's move on to the next talking point. Let's go to the west side of Manchester, where Ruben Amorim has warned his Manchester United players that he will learn more about them against the bottom of the table Southampton at Old Trafford on Thursday, that's today, than in the last two matches away to Arsenal and Liverpool. United have lifted the gloom around the club by knocking the Gunners out of the FA Cup on penalties a week after battling to a 2-2 draw with the Premier League leaders Liverpool at Anfield. It has raised questions over United's mentality when they face the smaller clubs, and Amorim is waiting to see if his players can reach the same standard against the Saints side adrift the foot of the table. In their last three games at home in the league to Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth and Newcastle, and Amorim wants to see more of resilience in his players in what they showed against Liverpool at Anfield and at the Emirates. Meanwhile, Amorim, who revealed that Luke Shaw is close to a return, expects Harry Maguire to play on Thursday despite coming off the Emirates. So now you know Harry Maguire might just be into tonight's battle against bottom Southampton. And Southampton has got two Nigerian players in their fold. They've got Paul Onuachu, who is one of Super Eagles strikers from Genk in Belgium, and they've got Joe Aribo, who is in the midfield of the Super Eagles. So we're going to be seeing two Nigerian players in action tonight, and it's going to be Eric Chelle watching these two players to see how they're going to fit into the Super Eagles as we get set for the World Cup qualifiers against the Wasps of Rwanda, the Cheetahs of Benin Republic, and the Bafana of South Africa as we hope to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. All right, still giving you big stories. Let's take you to the next big story. And we're talking Wolves boss here. It's transfer news as Wolves manager Victor Pereira has revealed that former captain Mario Lemina wants to leave the club. Lemina missed Wolves' 3-0 defeat to Newcastle on Wednesday night as Pereira suffered just his second loss in 6 games since replacing Gary O'Neill. After the match, Pereira explained why Lemina was not named in the match day squad. Pereira revelation suggests that Lemina has been considering his future for some time, and so the 31-year-old had the captain's armband at Molelu until last month, but was stripped of the honor after getting into an on-pitch scuffle with Gerard Bowen following a 2-1 loss at West Ham. Lemina subsequently apologized for his behavior, but O'Neill opted to name Nelson Semedo as his new captain. Very sad commentary there. O'Neill was sacked just 1 week after the debacle at West Ham, but Lemina was not given the captaincy back upon the arrival of Pereira. He could now leave the club in the final 2 weeks of the transfer window. Wolves failed to cope without the experienced midfielder on Wednesday night as Alexander Isak, Brace and Anthony Gordon striker condemned them to a 3-0 loss that leaves the Midlands outfit inside the bottom 3 on goal difference. So the big question is, why don't you give him back his captain band? He has apologized. He's a captain. He did that for the team. He took that hit for the team. And since there's a change of guard in the coaching crew, why don't you keep him in the team, because he is very important for the Wolves. But that's the call for the new coach, Victor Pereira, to make as he looks at his team. All right, let's take you to Newcastle. St. James's Park is where we're going next. The big story there tells us that Newcastle United midfielder Miguel Amorim is in talks over £8 million return to his former club, talking about Atlanta United. Amorim joined Newcastle from Atlanta for a then record of £21 million 19. Now 6 years on, he could be set to go back to the club where he made his name. Let's also let you know that Mail Sport revealed last month that there has been interest in Amorim from several overseas clubs, including Brazilian teams like Santos, like Palmeiras, like Sao Paulo. All have been monitoring his situation, while Olympiacos in Greece, MLS side Charlotte FC, have also inquired about Amorim's availability. But Atlanta are now trying to win the race for his signature of the 30-year-old winger. Amorim has scored 30 goals in 222 appearances for Newcastle and has been a regular starter in recent seasons. However, he has fallen out of favor this time, with Eddie Howe preferring to use Jacob Murphy ahead of him on the right wing. Amorim, who has a contract at Newcastle until June 2026, has been limited to just one league start this season. He has still remained in Newcastle, matched the squad throughout the campaign, though, and he came off the bench in his size 3-0 win over Wolves on Wednesday night. So that might just be one of the reasons he's deciding to go. All right, just to let you know, other matches were played last night. It was a homecoming for the man called David Moyes, but it was Aston Villa and Everton versus Aston Villa last night. Aston Villa winning 1-0 as David Moyes striker to raise relegation fears at Goodison Park. Moyes' first match back as Everton manager ends in defeat as Aston Villa beats them to it. Only Watkins grabs the only goal of the game as the Toffees fail to score yet again. Yes, Everton losing yesterday to Aston Villa. All right, just last night also we had Leicester take on Crystal Palace at home, and it was a 2-0 victory for Crystal Palace. The Foxes are stuck in drop zone after 6 straight defeats as the Eagles climb above Manchester United into 14th after goals from Jean-Philippe Mateta and Mark Guehi scored the goals to give Crystal Palace victory, 2-0 victory over Leicester last night. Very sad commentary for Van Nistelrooy. I hope he doesn't get kicked off or sacked again, but because this defeat for the Foxes keeps Ruud Van Nistelrooy's men in the relegation zone. All right, let's talk about one man. Expert lip reader is in the news this morning as the big story concerning Pep Guardiola had a strong message for goalkeeper Stefan Ortega. An expert lip reader has now revealed after the Man City boss was seen in a bizarre embrace after throwing away a 2-0 lead against Brentford on Tuesday night. Guardiola was in a bizarre embrace with his goalkeeper following the Premier League clash as Brentford struck twice in the closing stages to snatch a draw. The Spaniard appeared angered by Man City's capitulation, but continued to hug Ortega as he got his message across. Guardiola was seen grabbing the 32-year-old, still angry, and getting in his face as the player turned his head away. He then grabbed Ortega's head, shouting in his ear before he pulled away and began to get more frustrated, seemingly shouting in the face. Guardiola likely hit his player's chest, then embracing with him again and appearing to kiss him on the cheek. After a couple of more hugs and exchanges of words, the two men went their separate ways, and lip reading expert Jeremy Freeman has revealed Guardiola had a clear message for Ortega, stressing that the goalkeeper should take that yellow. Yes, make that tackle, take the yellow card for the team, was what Pep Guardiola was saying, according to the lip reader. The implication was that Ortega should have slowed the game down as Manchester City sought to cling on to victory. Despite the potential risk, he could have been booked for time wasting, and Pep Guardiola says you should have taken that for the team. All right, let's talk some tennis now. From football, let's go to the world of tennis, and we've got Iga Swiatek in the news. Yes, former world number one. Let's talk some tennis and tell you that Edgar Swiatek put a blemish on her great run at this year's Australian Open when she got the crowd offside after her win on Thursday by claiming Sydney has better coffee than Melbourne. The Victoria capital takes great pride in the quality of its brew, and its supposed coffee superiority over Sydney is often raised in a long rivalry between the two cities. Swiatek was speaking to Channels 9's Jelena Dokic after her straight set victory over Rebecca Strankova when the topic turned to the subject of good cups of Java, and the four-time French Open champion then tried to get the fans back on her side. Meanwhile, Melbourne were also up in arms when the survey found that Harbour City is Australia's coffee capital, with Sydney siders drinking more cups of brew per week than their Victorian counterpart. Meanwhile, Swiatek's victory means she will take on former US Open champion Emma Raducanu in a headline third-round clash at the Australian Open. Meanwhile, the poll showed no mercy to outclass Strankova on Rod Laver Arena, winning 6-0, 6-2. Strankova only won 10 points in the lopsided first set, a tally she was able to match in the first 4 games of the second. She fought to make it more of a contest, but the second-seeded Pole was keen to get the job done as quickly as possible on the Rod Laver Arena, closing the contest out in 60 minutes on her first match point. Raducanu, who is 22, had to work considerably harder in her second round encounter against her close friend Amanda Anisimova before advancing 6-3, 7-5. Let's go for a quick break. When we return, we'll be wrapping up the program with talking boxing. Anthony Joshua is in the news. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's Still Talk Sports. Let's wrap up the program with the big news in the world of boxing, as Eddie Hearn has insisted that Anthony Joshua has plenty of options should Tyson Fury stick to his week's shock retirement announcement. Hearn revealed on Monday that he had booked out Wembley Stadium ahead of the potential all-British showdown between Joshua and Fury just hours before the Gypsy dropped a bombshell update on his boxing future. Fans are now coming to terms with the fact that they may never see the fight between Fury and Anthony Joshua, which has been decades in the making. Both men were beaten twice by Alexander Usyk, but there was still huge interest in establishing the British King. Some are now questioning whether Joshua goes from here, but the promoter, Hearn, claims he still has 7 other potential opponents. Speaking to The Sun, he named Martin Bakoli, who is from Congo, Africa, Deontay Wilder, who is also a Nigerian, and the Chinese Zhili Zhang and Agita Kebaye. I also have Daniel Dubos, who is also a Nigerian, and Joseph Parker, who is from New Zealand, as alternatives. Joshua suffered a knockout defeat to Dubos at Wembley in his last bout, with his fellow Brit retaining the IBF title. He has now defeated 3 of his other men on Hearn's list, with wins over Parker and White, while he also bested Zhang at the 2012 Olympic Games. A showdown with former WBC champion Wilder may not garner the same interest it would have a few years ago, but there is no doubt it remains a big fight. However, Hearn remains confident that Fury will reverse his decision, and hopefully he's going to reverse his decision. That's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. My name is Anthony Momodu, the King of Sports, saying thank you for being part of the show. Good morning.